meeting to order for the monthly meeting on October 20th, 2022 of the Netarts-Oceanside Sanitary District. First item is approval of the agenda. If I can have a motion to approve the agenda as written.
I move to approve the agenda.
Second that.
All right, we have no guests this evening, and therefore no public comment, board questions, comments, and discussion. Review of the minutes of September 15th, regular board meeting minutes. Motion to accept the minutes.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, discussion. If everybody's had a chance to review it, and there's no comments to be offered, all in favor of accepting the minutes as written, say aye.
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 I'm not too sure I did that for the agenda, did I? But that's right. It's still approved. Yes. Financial, 30 September financial statements for review of all funds. Motion to accept the financial statements. Jerry?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All right. And discussion.
So on the new connections at 1690 Sundown and 310 Fall Creek,
That's correct.
those are in September, right?
Yes.
And then you got, what, 3 or 2?
3 in August.
August, okay.
So, have you anticipated any for October? Just curious.
We have one already for October.
Okay. Then does it generally kind of wind down till springtime, or
No,
just there's no pattern?
there's no pattern.
I was just kind of curious.
I sign sewer availability letters constantly.
When you say constantly, like once a week or so?
Probably 3 or 4 times a week. If not, signed another one today.
Really?
Yeah, 2 the other day.
Some of them are you know, new structures being put in, so those wouldn't show on here as an SDC, but most of them are actually new home building,
So
new construction.
they will show up.
They will show up
Eventually.
eventually. It depends on the, you know, the permitting process, how long that takes.
So do they end up writing a check to the Central District, or how is that paid actually?
The SDC,
Yeah.
well, it's paid.
Credit card.
Yeah, it's,
Okay, so
there's different methods of paying us. Check, credit card are the 2 most popular.
So it comes directly to you, and then you in turn put it in the account?
The SDC fund.
Yes,
Okay.
which you won't see that until the following month after we tally everything up.
Okay.
We have a guest on. John? Yes, guest on.
Tamara?
Hi there, how y'all doing?
Hi.
Getting all set up with my headset here.
Yeah, we're down into the minutes, and we're at item 7, and I will go finish item 7 and then offer you the opportunity to make some comments. I'll back up as you're our only guest for this evening. So, given...
Which means I'm giant on the screen in front of you. How embarrassing. I couldn't get all the way out there in time.
Okay. All in favor of accepting the financial statements as written, say aye.
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 Aye. All right. I'm going to back up to public comments. Tamara, welcome. And as you know, has happened in the past, this is all being recorded. So, and hopefully you've had an opportunity to review all the materials, including the response of our engineering firm to our request to them to look into the matter of some sort of preventative action for, or containment system for the Netarts boat ramp. So if you would like to offer any comments or thoughts, we're more than happy to hear them. You know, I don't know that a decision would be made tonight one way or the other, but we certainly want to hear what you have to say and anything in writing that you would like to offer in regard to some of the proposals that you verbally made at the meetings 2 months ago. So the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. You know, I have had a really full day, and I've thought on and off about what is most important about this, you know, ongoing partnership. We all live out here. We all, you know, work together. We all love Netarts Bay. Like, we know that's what one thing that's very special about the area. I didn't want to not join and lose that contact as an ongoing partnership. We, as oyster farmers, have all, you know, banked our future on that bay. Our livelihood depends on the bay, and we appreciate you helping to protect it. You know, whether the engineering study worked out, I realize there's complexities within that. I realize that we're always trying to get and improve technology. Got a puppy in the background, sorry. I was thinking about, you know, even that night, you know, as you're looking and you went through in detail the response, you know, even if the policy of having a berm out before you ever bump the pump, you know, whatever it is, there's lots of things that we know we can do, and at least that commitment back to everyone, realizing now that any amount that goes in the bay, now we've got a huge financial hit as oyster farmers. We're resilient, we'll get by and do what we need to do, and nobody on our team wants any pay for it. But we need that commitment from you and that ongoing partnership that we continue to explore. How do we keep this from happening again? It seems like that was, the potential is very real long term, and felt like we were just kind of, you know, dismissed to some degree that it's just going to happen. But I need you to put yourself firmly in our shoes and just please make that commitment to us. I don't have anything else as far as, you know, just to follow up. I'm not going to disappear from the scene. I want to stay, you know, in tune to what's going on. And I know that long term we all care, and I appreciate your response in the middle of the night that night. It is very frustrating to have such a financial impact over something that we had no control over. And I need y'all to understand that that was very real. That's all. At this point, so
And,
I'll plan to be on the next meeting as well.
I don't know, some of the other board members may have some things to say, but I will say that we'll do whatever we can to minimize any spill that might occur and what its impact may be on the bay. And we were not just dismissing you out of hand by saying that someday a spill will occur, because these are mechanical systems. And I know you have a lot of experience in other jobs you've held, as we've talked about, that at some point, sometimes they fail and they're not 100%, but we'd like to make our systems as close to 100% reliable at all times. But as it was pointed out in the engineering letter, there's a whole lot of pipe that is out there, but it is pretty sturdy stuff, and Dan can add to that, that it's not cheap stuff. And I say that because just the other day I saw a substantial freshwater leak from one of our water delivery systems at somebody's house, and their PVC was cheap stuff. I mean, it was really cheap stuff. And that's one of the things, one of the reasons why things cost so much is the type of pipe and everything else that goes into the system. It's pretty much first class, and we want it to be there. But we also want you to be a participant and an interested party. You know, I know you may be moving from your present address at some point, and you may be out of the area, but you still will be oyster growers here, and so you still have certainly an important stake in what goes on. So I don't know if anybody else wants to add anything to that, but certainly you're a partner, you're part of the community, and your input is important.
Yeah, I'd just like to say thank you for coming, both this time and before, expressing, you know, your needs and your situation. And I'm glad to see you back, and I hope that in the same words, basically, to continue the partnership and, you know, do the best that we can to prevent as much as we can, but also, you know, when things do happen, work on our communication. Just make things easy for everybody.
I might add one thing. I'm kind of disappointed in that it almost seems like the Department of Agriculture's attitude now is that if you spill a quart of sewerage, they're going to close everything down for 21 days, which I think is pretty ridiculous, but and I don't know, it seems like somebody needs to consider changing some of that and making it more realistic.
I believe the Oregon Department of Agriculture and the statute states any raw sewer that exceeds 3,000 gallons of a spill, that triggers an automatic 29-day shutdown for the oyster plants. And there's a different amount for treated effluent.
Dan, do you have like the text of that or the reference that you'd be willing to email out?
I do not. I actually got that from Alex at Oregon Department of Agriculture.
You're muted, sorry.
We will try to get that and get that to you.
I believe he told me that he gave that or spoke about that to all the oyster growers.
Yeah, but
I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not saying.
no, and he may very well have, but I still think it is worthwhile for us to know, and for the oyster growers to know, to see the statute or the written document that they are referencing, rather than a person on the staff, such as Alex or whatever saying, this is what it is. Well, show me in writing. And we can work on that to try to get that for you.
Our goal is not to lose any water out of the pipes, none whatsoever, anytime. So, we can do updates to the monitoring systems at the pump stations, but you're kind of at the mercy of the pipes. There's not sensors throughout all the pipes that'll tell us what the water's doing, except for high pressure mains. And that will only alert us to a loss of pressure. And as you well know, once the pressure is lost, that's where it goes. Most of the time. Not always, but that's where it goes.
So we will certainly try to find, and I think we should be able to find the regulation or the document that says 3,000 gallons and get that to you.
All right, thank you.
Jerry, did you have anything you wanted to say? You're kind of blinking on and off.
I am?
No, I mean, as if there's, the blue frame appears around you every once in a while.
Okay. I'm using a different camera than I usually do.
Noise.
No, I'm fine. I'm following what's going on. And don't have anything to add anything. Elizabeth said it nicely.
Uh-oh.
I think there's something wrong with the TV.
Okay.
I guess everything only lasts 2 years.
I'm not
and then
seeing
it
anything on
stops.
my picture of myself that should bring up, so
Well,
it's showing up on your end.
We're having a little problem here.
Technical difficulty.
So,
Are you hearing me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
if,
There they are. Okay.
if there's no more discussion on the subject of the spill, we'll proceed with item number 8, which is the board audit and accounts payable. And Tamara, if you want to stay for the rest of the meeting, you're welcome to do so. And I appreciate your coming back online and sharing your thoughts with us and the oyster growers' thoughts with us. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll probably just listen in if that's all right.
Okay. September 22nd, board audit and account payables for review. The bank reconciliation and board audit. Any questions or? I was wondering, is there, I think last month, didn't we have one of Swald's invoices for hauling part of the sewerage? Do we have, is this now the totality of what's left of the cost of the spill as far as invoices and billings?
We received the one from Emery and Sons, I know that. We should have had a total of 2 invoices from Zawal, 2 separate Zawals. So some of them probably just are not appearing on here yet.
Okay, so maybe next month, would it be possible to just, if we have everything, just the total accounting of everything that it cost for the spill, and then close it out?
Well, we can, right now we're still working with the automation group, because we did some upgrades to the control panel to better monitor the force main visually, and we put in more alarms, earlier warning. So they were working on it today as well.
Okay.
So it may be maybe by next month it will get billed.
Okay, but then at some point, just,
We can get a total, we should have a total by
total.
next month,
okay,
if nothing else.
all right, great, great. Does anybody have any comments or thoughts on this? So that puts us down to the district report.
So, on regards, since we're on the subject of the spill, I sent the response for the warning response letter that we had to make some modifications to our emergency plans for a spill. So I worked with West Tech, we got that done, I sent it in today and they already responded back. And what they're gonna have us do is what I just read, I just got it before the board meeting. It looks like we're gonna have to carve out and make a special emergency response preparedness plan if any, for when any sewer water enters Netarts Bay. So we'll have 5 creeks we'll have to look at. So I need to still work with DEQ. It was due by the 30th of this month. So I've got to find out exactly the detail that they want on a separate, because our spill responses are for all of our pump stations and force mains that run along through here.
Yeah.
So they're not specific to any certain area per se. So it looks like that's what they want. They want us to make one just for whatever sewer water enters the Netarts Bay, which could be from Happy Camp pump station all the way back to, well, all the way back to Netarts pump station, but it seems like they want us to go all the way out to the state park. And that's outside of our jurisdiction. That's outside of our district boundaries. I'm gonna have to have a talk with DEQ. I'm not sure that they've spoke with Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. One problem they had with this last one was too many people were putting up posters and putting up signs and weren't authorized to put up signs. And so our responsibility stops at our district boundary. I understand the bay keeps going, but I'm not sure what the other agencies will have to say with us out putting signs on their posts and entry points to the bay beyond our district. So.
Who would respond to those then?
Sorry?
Who is the responsible party then when it's outside your district?
That's why we have the OER emergency response number, but they want us to list Oregon Department. They want us to list contacts of directly contacting Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, and Oregon Department of Ag, and the Oregon Health Authority. Quite a few places, but which we do anyway. We're just, I don't believe we're allowed to just start putting up post signs all the way around the bay. So I just need to get clarification. I'm not saying we won't do it. I'm just got to make sure that it's okay with all the agencies.
This becomes really interesting when you look at the number of regulatory agencies involved.
There's a lot, yeah, there's a lot. And that's kind of what happened this last time was they didn't communicate amongst each other for a week.
Do you want to just, if you could, maybe in 2 minutes, describe the history as far as where you were and then the change when they wanted to consolidate and now they want to spread things out again?
So
you had mentioned.
Yeah, about a decade ago, we had to start just, the only number we were to call was an Oregon Emergency Response number for the state. And then that is the one responsible for notifying all the state and local agencies, including the health department. They didn't even want us to go and call the local radio stations. They wanted to control the message going out, so it was a consistent message. Not that they want to control the subject matter, but they wanted one message to go out. Well, this is the first time I've ever seen it fail. It's the first time I've ever seen it not work, and it took this many unacceptable days to notify the public. So I got one agency that's reacting one way, I don't know how the other ones are gonna react, so I'll be contacting them to find out what I'm allowed to do, and then I have to get back to DEQ and say, what you're requiring us to do may not be acceptable with the other agencies, so.
And I think we've had somebody else just join us, was it?
No.
Is that that's our folks, yeah. We lost him for a moment and then he came back and said,
So that's kind of the history. They're changing it back to where, because we used to notify the radio station, the local paper. We used to notify all that ourselves, and they kind of stopped that because other people that live local would also notify the radio station, and there was too much misinformation getting out. Kind of like what happened this last time. Too much misinformation got out.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and just for everybody's interest, the end of the system is that stop sign there at the.
Yeah, just down past Billieu, what's the road?
Wilson Beach is the
Wilson,
district.
Wilson Beach is our last manhole. So our district doesn't go beyond that.
Right.
So we've never been allowed to go outside of our district because those are state waters. Those don't belong to NOSD. So we have no jurisdiction outside of our district boundaries.
And once again, the state park has its own system.
The state park has their own, Oregon Department of Ag has their own, state parks, county parks.
Well, I'm talking about sewer system.
Yes, those have their own private sewer systems in them, yes. But as far as the posting goes, I have to have approval from Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife to put signs on where they hang their signs, wherever people enter the bay. So, I'm not sure yet. DEQ might be overstepping what they want us to do. I think I need to get approvals from Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife that they agree with us going all the way out to the state park to post.
And then, I mean, just so the public understands, if there is a spill, we're not the ones that are responsible for doing the water quality testing.
That is correct. That's
something it's not in our purview, but we should identify who that is.
in the past, it's always been the Oregon Health Authority. They're the ones that's in charge of the testing of the state waters. They're the only ones to know what the limits are for human contact, food consumption. We don't set those limits. That's set by them. So that's why we've never been allowed to, and we don't have the equipment to test salt water.
Yeah, that, it's not within our purview, but the reality is that we don't have that type of equipment to test salt water, as you said. Ours is sewerage, which is basically non-salt water.
Well, we test our system in stages. And the last test, of course, is when it goes out for the outfall, but that's all complete different animals than testing for chloroform in the bay.
Yes, our lab is not set up to test anything that has to do with seawater. We're just not set up for that.
And maybe for Tamara as much as anybody else, my understanding that last fairly substantial spill down towards Newport was when the city said they tested. Their testing isn't accepted by the Department of Agriculture or anybody else.
Yeah.
What they're really doing is, can you go swimming in it, I guess, I don't know.
What do you mean?
Well, it's not a high quality test, I don't imagine.
The tests aren't valid. You can't use our testing equipment.
Or, I don't know what they tested or what.
Because of the salinity content of salt water, it can't be tested. So that's why it wasn't accepted by the Oregon Health Authority, by Oregon Department of Ag. It didn't matter. Plus, it's that 2019 statutes, my understanding, X amount of gallons, it doesn't matter if there's a test or not, they shut it down for 29 days.
21?
21.
21 days, I'm sorry, yes, 21 days. So I just need to, normally you would contact or they would call us after we called Oregon Emergency Response, and then Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife would direct us, go put a sign here, go test this, say, stream coming into it, make sure it didn't get into there or something. But we have to be directed by them because it's statewide. I've never heard of what DEQ just sent back to me that we're supposed to do. So, but this is going to be state agency with state agency. We'll go post whatever we need to go post or whatever we have, you know, the jurisdiction to do. But we cannot shut down any use of the bank at all. We can only warn, that's all we can do. We don't have the authority to shut it down. Back to Mr. Treatment plant is running well within its permit limits. Collection system, we have scheduled on October 24th and 5th. Brian's going to take all the guys out, especially the new ones. We're going to start training them on the inspection camera equipment. So I think we're able to go out now, and so what we're going to do is start training, and then when the rain starts, we'll probably schedule some more. We'll try to do it once a week, but scheduling and what other equipment we have to work on will dictate that. The Netarts pump station force main monitoring display upgrade. It was just installed today. Is it completed?
It is. Yeah.
Okay, it is completed and operational. And what this will do will give the guys a visual when they walk in to see exactly what PSI is in the pipe, and if it's below or above what is normal, what's called static head. And that will help us determine, by the static head, we'll be able to know pretty close where the leak might be at. Not exactly the position, but due to elevation, it may be further up, because it goes all the way up to the cape's entrance. So that's going to help us monitor that and help figure out where the leak might be, if there is one.
Can you explain the redundancy that actually there are multiple ways that you can find that there's a leak? I think because this was not working, or it was upgraded, but you nevertheless discovered the leak in very quick time, so that you're not just relying on only one system, I think. Isn't that what you told me?
Well, yeah, and it depends
for
on
cameras, so she.
Okay, so it depends on where the leak is at. So the closer to the pump station the leak, which unfortunately is closer to the bay, there's less back pressure, less head pressure. So when the pumps start up and the second check valve doesn't open and trip the limit switch, because there's no back pressure for it to open the check valve very far, it will trip the pumps out. It will shut them down. And that's what happened in this last case.
You'll know that something is wrong,
Yeah.
which you discovered within approximately an hour.
And that's why we could pretty much calculate how much fluid was lost. So there is 90,000 gallons in that pipeline. Okay, so depends on what that gauge reads and how those pumps react. So let's say the failure was up the hill past Fall Creek, closer to where the Capes is. That could probably keep pumping and not trip the pumps out, because it has more back pressure to open the check valves to trip the limit switches to say both pumps are running. The lower it is, there's not enough pressure to open the check valve, trip the limit switch, so it gets a flow fail, and it will shut the pumps down. So like I said, it depends on where it's at in the line. 9,000 feet of line will determine how the pump station reacts.
And then you said that this telemetry this information goes directly to your cell phones?
Well, no, we'll have to log in. What the cell phones, you'll get a call from what we call SCADA or telemetry. We'll call, the guys will log on with their phones or their laptops. They will go onto the screen that's in the data room, and they're gonna look to see what the issue is.
Okay.
And then it'll tell them if it was a force main low pressure, if it was a pump fault, it was a flow fail. It'll give them numerous things that went wrong.
Okay.
Surge arrestor as well, which is in that line when the pumps start and shut off. Think of that surge arrestor, a tank with water in it and air. Think of it like a shock absorber. So when the pumps shut off, the water wants to slosh. So that kind of takes up that sloshing to stop the pipes from bursting or imploding.
Any questions? Okay, go ahead, if you would, please.
Okay. So our Oceanside pump station, it had a control module failure. Well, it had a screen failure. The control module is corrupted. So we have to purchase another one. We can have this one repaired, but the problem is you have to shut the pump station down and take it out and send it in. We can't do that. We have to trade out another one, put it in, and we can send this old one in to be repaired. And then we'll have a spare for, it'll work for the Oceanside pump station, and it will work for the Netarts pump station, that new control panel. Was there another one? Just those two for now.
Just for now.
Okay. So this is the cost, but what this will do is we'll replace it with the new unit for Oceanside. Right now it has no display. We walked in there, we wouldn't know what the pumps are doing, but the backup is it came with a tablet. So the guys can plug into a port and they can bring up the display on a tablet down there. That gets you by for now. The tablet's other uses so you can update programming and do updates in it, so, firmware updates. So this is already on order, and the price of these are a little over $10,000, but we got 30% off because this unit's actually about 3 years old, two to three.
2.5, 3, yeah.
Yeah. So we went ahead and ordered a new one. We'll get that installed. We'll send the old one in, and then we'll get it repaired.
Which we can actually install that ourselves.
Yes. Treatment plant is operating well within its permit limits. West Tech went to advertise for the manual transfer switch emergency generator for Oceanside, that project. It's due, they're going to open the bids. The bids are due and open on November 3rd. That'll probably be late in the afternoon, is usually when they do them, around 4 p.m., so we should know the results by the following day. My understanding right now with the concern with some of the bidders is ordering a generator is now a year out. So they're still doing these projects, but whoever is the bid winner will have to, you know, before we accept them, they're going to have to tell us what their terms are to wait for a year for payment or how they're going to want to do it. But they have to get the generator ordered, and they're being told it's up to 12 months before they can receive it. So we'll get the transfer switch in. Once I know the specs on that, we can set up for like United Rental or something that has one that we can plug in if they're, while we're waiting for the new one. Does the board have any questions on it?
Okay, just real quick, since we have camera on board, can you just real quick explain what's going on with that and why we need an emergency generator? Perhaps the underground cable and so forth.
Right. So right now the Oceanside pump station is dependent upon power from the main pump station.
It's down there by the new concrete stairs.
So that's the location of the Oceanside pump station around the chain link fence. If for some reason that that fails, that connection fails, or there's a lot of construction going on with building homes down Pacific. As you drive down there, you'll see if a contractor accidentally hits that line and breaks it, there's no backup generator to keep that pump station going. So, so that we don't spill out of that into the ocean across the beach, we're going to install a manual transfer switch on the outside of that little pump station, and we will keep a portable generator here that will be on a trailer. We'll take it down there, and then we will plug that in. That will run that pump station until that line can be repaired. So right now it runs off the generator that's at the main, but if you lose that connection for any reason, doesn't have to be man-made, if for any reason if you lose that connection, that will shut down that pump station and it won't work. And there's no way to connect anything to it right now physically, so that's why we're going this step.
And so, rather than us having a backup generator, is there such a thing with the county? Do they have one?
Well, they have to be specific. I mean, last time we had a power outage, they didn't. They used them for their facility. So the generators have to be spec'd to run those pumps in that pump station requirement. So it's not like you just go get just any generator and plug into it. It has to be three-phase. So it's not like you could go to the rental center and just get one for a house, because those are all single phase. So it's a switch for the unit that you have to plug into it. And that's why it's being spec'd out. But once we get all the what kind of generator it is and the specs, we're going to look around. United Rental has a pretty good selection of rental generators. So as long as it's not in the middle of a storm and there's power outages all over the state, it should be relatively easy to get one here within 24 hours.
But I know there was a size consideration, but at one point the thought was that this generator could be used at some of our other smaller pump stations.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's not exclusively necessarily for Oceanside.
As we make those upgrades to other pump stations, because even if you have an on-site generator at a pump station, and you can ask these guys, Sean and Brian especially, those generators can sometimes not start and work. So what this will do is give us an advantage at least 3, maybe 4 of our other pump stations that we can take this generator to and start those pump stations up manually.
So would that include the Capes?
All but one of the Capes right now. I believe one of them is 3-phase, but it's a different voltage that these generators don't do yet.
Okay.
So yes, this generator will be sized large enough to take in some of our other pump stations. They will never be large enough to take care of the main pump station or Netarts. Those are large 4-plex stations. Move on.
Yeah.
Okay. So the district's lab, we're required by our NPDES permit to make our discharge permit to make sure all of our lab equipment is certified every year. Our spectrophotometer is obsolete, so they won't certify it anymore. So we have 2 ailing pieces of equipment that one we've had for over 20 years. This unit for $8,281, this will actually do, it'll take the place of 2 pieces of equipment. And the company that comes in and certifies our lab equipment can certify this one. If you look at the attachment,
Is that the Xylem 13?
it is the one,
Fisher Scientific quote.
you see the Fisher Scientific. So the Fisher Scientific, we can have the same firm come in every year that certifies our current lab equipment. They will certify this one from Fisher Scientific. The other one that you see the quotation, I just put this in here so you can see the cost difference. The comparable unit from Hawk was over $12,000. And with this one, you have to send it into Hawk. You have to literally take it out of your lab and send it in to have it calibrated. So this one can be done in-house. At least that's my understanding from this one. But you can see alone, we opened an account with Fisher Scientific, and we received another $1,060 off that cost. So the one online was $9,300 and something, and this is now $8,200.
So the one from Hawk was actually their discounted price of.
Is there any questions on that? It's like, and we are required to take some of these tests daily, so we can't afford for it to finally just quit. And so since the other one can't be certified anymore, we have to upgrade.
Is there a wait time for these, or?
This one from Fisher Scientific, it's supposed to ship next week. Yeah. I don't know what the wait time from Hawk would have been on that one.
About the same.
About the same. Okay. Get caught up here. So the UV disinfection system had a PLC failure, and the PLCs have been kind of a problem with that unit. They have little, looks like a half-size AA battery or something in them. And they have to be sent back in. If the battery dies, it actually loses its programming. And it could cost you a couple $1,000s to get it sent in, a new battery and reprogrammed. So this is and those units are obsolete now. They can still be repaired, but they're still obsolete. So we opted with a new unit that has no battery, and it can maintain the programming in it. When you put a spare on the shelf, it's there whenever you need to use it. So what I'll do, we've got this one in, we're testing it now. It seems to be working really, really well. We probably won't be sending any others in. We have 2 or 3 others. By the time we're done spending money on that, we might as well buy one that we don't have to send in every couple of years and have the battery changed. So the UV disinfection system has been in operation in a couple of weeks for 10 years. And so the ballast cards in them are starting to wear out. The ballast cards was what runs the lamps. And so we've had multiple lamp failures for our disinfection system. There are 36 ballast cards, and you'll see on here I have all 36 down because those were all put in at the same time, and they seem to be failing lately all about the same time. So we'll run them until we start having problems with them. We won't change them all out at once, but we're going to need to have all 36 on hand to swap them out when they fail. They're also hard on the lamps when they start to go on and off. That's hard on the lamps as well, and there's 72 of those. So I need board approval to purchase, because it's beyond mine and it's not an emergency, to purchase the new ballast cards from Xylem, the Eagle Ray ballast cards. You'll see the quote with the shipping. And these aren't cheap if you look at what each unit costs, each ballast card costs, $603 each.
Well, I'll make a motion that we allow for the purchase of ballot cards for the UV disinfectant system from Xylem.
I second that.
Any further discussion? Do we still have Tamara, or she dropped off?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay, no further explanation of UV disinfection then.
Okay.
All in favor say aye.
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 All right.
So I did attach for the, I forgot to mention it, you all saw the DJC, this was the advertisement for the generator and transfer switch project. I just attached a copy just so you can see the advertisement. I've had several calls on this from electricians wanting the job, looking, and so what'll happen next is they'll come and they'll do a walkthrough on the site if they're going to bid on it. So this was approved.
Yes.
You don't want to do it. So number 7, the district's newest employee, Lincoln Loving, is qualified for the Working Preferred Worker Program. And I attached, basically what I did was, I just attached the Preferred Worker Program fact sheet. Right now we're working on on-site upgrades. One of them is a lift gate for one of the district trucks. Another one is motorizing the large shop doors in the older shop up front, so that you don't have to use the chain to roll them up with and down. They do get kind of heavy. That is something our insurance, I just went to risk management for SDAO, that's one thing that they want. Well, all of the fire departments have to have it because they've had a large amount of back injuries. So that is one benefit that we're getting.